everyone, here's me explaining to you guys on why dividing any number by 0 will not equal to infinity. In fact, many of you believe that, some of you might believe that if you divide any number by 0, you'll get infinity, because dividing by a smaller number will give you a bigger output. And when you divide 1 by a smaller number, you get even higher and even higher. Let me explain to you guys why it will not equal to infinity in simple in the most peaceful definition I can describe to you. Here's a relaxing definition, a truly relaxing definition of why 1 divided by 0 is not infinity. For example, when you divide 1 divided by 0.1, you would get, say, I think, when you divide 1 divided by 0.1, you will get 100, I think, or 10. Not only to remember that one, but if you divide 1 by 0.0, I think you will get 10. And if you divide 1 divided by 0.01, you'll get 100, and 1 divided by 0.001, you'll get 1,000, and if you divide 1 divided by 0.0001, you'll get 10,000. You see, so 1 divided by 0.0001, that's 3 zeros after the decimal point, you get 10,000. And if you add 4 zeros after the decimal point, you get 100,000. So it would make sense to think about there being infinity at the end. But that's not the case. And let me explain to you why 1 divided by 0 will never be infinity. For example, 0 does not mean infinitely small. It means nothing. And there's a complete difference to that. 0 does not mean infinitely small. It means nothing. In fact, there might not be such thing as being infinitely small. It just means nothing. For example, if you wanted to get infinity, you would have to divide 1 divided by the infinitely small amount. But we're not doing that. We're dividing by 0. So what could the answer be? Well, the answer will still be undefined, because 0 does not mean infinitely small. It means nothing. You see, 0.00000, 1 divided by 0.0001 will probably give up to billion or a trillion, you see. So if you divide fully by 0, you will not get infinity, because 0 does not mean infinitely small. If you want to get infinity, you would have to divide by an infinitely small amount. However, 0 is not that. How do we get an infinitely small amount? As an example. For example, guys, an infinitely small amount will be bigger than 0, but infinitely times smaller than 0.n01, which is a paradox. It's like you're saying you're in the States. Imagine there's a state space that is infinitely times bigger than 0, but at the same time infinitely times smaller than 0.001, 0.0001, 0.00001. Doesn't matter how much zeros are after this 0.1, it'll be smaller than that. But in the same respect, infinitely times bigger than 0, which is a contradiction. You see, it cannot be infinitely times bigger than 0, but at the same time infinitely times smaller than 0.n01, which is, doesn't matter how much decimal points after the 0, 1, it'll be infinitely times smaller than that. And that's what I mean by an infinitely small amount. It is a contradiction. And if you divide 1 divided by that amount, you will get infinity. And if you divide 1 divided by infinity, you will get that amount, you know. So you will receive this amount. So 1 divided by 0 will actually be undefined. Because, so what will it be then? No. Uncountable infinity? No. Because if it was uncountable infinity, guys, yeah, it will also not be uncountable infinity, because it will be actually be a number that is infinitely times bigger than 0, but also infinitely times smaller than that number I just came with. That was infinitely times smaller than 0. No matter how many zeros, 1. And that number itself divided by would be infinitely times smaller than that one, you see. So that's what you'll need to do to get uncountable infinity. So even uncountable infinity. And so at this point you might be thinking, will this give you a number that is so big you cannot comprehend? No, because then that would also be able to get the default of that. And if that was the case, you get an unimaginably small amount, which is not 0. You see, so 1 divided by 0 is not infinity. And yes, I will do another video, guys, about omega versus infinity. If they're the same, why they might not be the same. I'm going to first of all have to do a little bit of research on this, but this is my perspective of why it might not be infinity.